Welcome back to Beyond the Campfire. I am one of your hosts, Stephen the Indian, alongside Will the Cowboy. We are a cowboy and Indian that talks about ghosts, cryptids, conspiracy theories, cults, all the like. Anything that might go bump in the night. Anything that you might want to talk about at a campfire. So, if this is your first time joining us, we are happy to have you here. You can find us on TikTok, X, and Instagram at Beyond Campfire Podcast, or just simply at Beyond Campfire. We hope that you can connect with us there. So
Yeah.
grab your blankets. Will's got a tale, I think, out in the desert for us. Will, what you got for us today?
Well, I don't think you want a blanket because it's probably gonna be pretty hot.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Deserts do get cold at night, but
well,
the
yeah,
daytime in the daytime, yeah, it might cook
might
you
be
a little.
a little hot there. All right. Well, yeah. So as Steven said, not only do you need to grab your blankets, but I would say grab your passports because we're going global again this week. I don't. I'm trying to think of the last time we were in. Yeah, we've been in the U.S. for like the past 2 or 3 times. So now we're going back across borders.
Yeah, we've been local, but all right, cool. It's nice to know we're grabbing our passports again. So
Yeah. So we are this time we're traveling to South America. Unlike last time though, we're not going to look for Hitler. We already did that. So this time though, we're traveling to Peru. Steven, do you know anything about Peru?
I know they have alpacas there. I think those things that kind of look like llamas but are not llamas, and they'll spit on you. Other than that, yeah, no, I don't really know.
Well, it also has a Machu Picchu.
Oh, that's right.
Wait, who
I don't
built
know.
Machu Picchu?
I thought that was further up. But yeah,
Isn't
you're
that
right.
further up?
Picchu's over there.
Yeah, Machu
Uh,
Picchu. Who built Machu Picchu? I'm trying to remember.
Well, the Aztecs were in Mexico, so it wasn't them. The Inca. It was the Inca
Incan.
Empire. I'm pretty sure.
Yep. So the culture that we're actually talking about today is not actually the Inca. Um, it's a different culture. Actually, we're technically talking about two cultures because two people
Came.
are two people we're kind of focused, or two groups of people we're kind of focusing on today. So we are actually going to try and solve a very, very, very old ancient mystery, and that is the Nazca lines. Nazca, however you want to say it.
When you were telling me about what we were talking about today earlier, I almost thought you said the Nazi lines, and I was like, "Oh, great, here we go." But Nazca,
No,
Nazca
no,
lines.
no, no.
That's two.
Those are in Argentina.
Fair, the Nazi lines were in Argentina.
They're in Argentina.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If you guys are confused about what we're talking about, I highly recommend going and watching our episode on whether Hitler survived. Because rumor has it he went to Argentina, but anyway.
Anyways, so yeah, so the Nazca lines are these drawings found in the deserts of Peru. They have been preserved for thousands of years, and this kind of dude, there's the dryness of the area. There's not a lot of wind, so because of this, those lines have actually been able to be preserved for thousands of years. And when I say thousands of years, well, the first drawings we believe were created in the year 500 BC. The last drawing was believed to have been created in about 580. So there's about 1,000-year gap that these drawings have been created. So they're, yeah, thousands of years old. I mean, these things are ancient, you know?
So some of these lines were around even before Jesus walked the earth.
Yep.
Okay, that's really
Isn't that
cool.
pretty cool? Yeah. So what's actually interesting is that because earlier I mentioned that we're talking about two different groups, and that's because the Nazca lines are actually broken into two different time periods. One civilization started them, then another one finished them. So in the first phase took place about 500, 400 BC, and they ended in about 200 BC. And this was from the Paracas phase. That was a culture around the area at the time. Then the namesake for it, the Nazca lines, the Nazca people, they continued from 200 BC to 500 AD before wrapping it up and finishing the project. Any questions?
See, one guy. Okay, I wonder. I'm sure you'll get into it in just a second, but do the Nazca lines, like the first part of it, look different from the second part, or the second?
No, they're all about the same.
Okay, gotcha. So they decided to keep some continuity.
Yeah.
I remember when
So
I was in London. I know there's certain buildings that were started by one empire, and then a different king took over, and he decided to change the style. So if you look at the
mm,
walls, it's like the walls going up to a certain point are like one kind of white limestone color, and then like the wall going up after that is like a different
I
white.
think there's I
So
think in England there's a house that's about been through like 4 different eras. Like you could see where it was like a Roman home, and then it was like medieval, and then there's like the Tudor era, and then like the modern era. Like this house had gone through 4 different phases basically, and you can see each layer of the home was like a different era.
sure,
It was pretty cool. So to kind of tell you a little bit more about these cultures, so the probably misspelling these, but the Paracas culture, it was an Indian society and existed between 800 BC to 100 BC. When they had extensive knowledge of irrigation and water management. This is going to kind of tie into some of the theories about why the Nazca lines were created. So they knew a lot about irrigation and water management, and they also made significant contributions in the textile arts. So that's the Paracas culture. So we're going to talk more about what the lines are and everything, and then after that we'll get into the theories. So right now I'm just trying to go over the people who created these lines to kind of maybe give us some insight into kind of why they did it. So
yeah,
the Nazca, or it's either Nazca like with a Z or Nazca with an S. They were around from 100 to 800 C or
80.
AD. Sorry, Google says CE, and I don't like it.
Come on,
Anyways,
Anno,
it's
the year of our Lord.
I
So
know, right? Common Era.
there you go.
They're renowned for their impressive geoglyphs known as the Nazca lines, and they had a lot of also sophisticated pottery. They actually also developed advanced irrigation systems and agricultural techniques to kind of thrive in the desert. So these kind of play into kind of the reason why I'm telling you about who these people were is because by learning about them, we possibly can figure out the mystery of why the line's there. Because when I'm talking about little lines in the desert, you might be what do you think when I say Nazca lines? You've probably never heard of them. I don't think you have.
Yeah.
As somebody who's never heard of these lines before,
Okay.
what comes to your head?
Nazca lines. I'm imagining these big lines, kind of drawn or crafted across the desert.
Actually, you're pretty close. So these lines, they were created. The way that they made these lines is there was a top layer, and this top layer of sediment was like a reddish brown, like ferric oxide coated pebbles. So what they would do is they would actually dig about 4 to 6 inches down and remove that to expose the subsoil, which was yellowish or grayish, to kind of draw basically in the dirt. Here's the crazy thing about these drawings. It's not just 1, 2, 3, or 4 drawings. There's hundreds of them, thousands of them. And
Wow.
they cover an area of about 386 square miles.
Just drawings for that many miles.
That they're scattered. They're scattered out
Okay.
over a
What
386 square mile radius.
what are in these drawings? Like what are they? Are
Well,
animals or something else?
I'll get to that, but I'm going to actually kind of also break it down because when I say 386 square miles, but like hearing in your head 386, that's not that big. Do you want to take a guess how many acres that is?
I have no idea, man. I'm gonna be honest with you.
186,214.8 acres.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So that's not a small chunk of land there. That's a big piece of
Big
territory.
numbers.
Okay. Okay.
So as I said, they're like I said, we're discovering still to this day because we're using drones and AI, and we're able to discover more and more and more drawings that are being discovered. But so far, we know that there are about 100 of these that are just simple lines or simple geometric shapes. Some are spirals. However, there are more than 70 that are zoomorphic. What I mean by these is there's a hummingbird, there's a spider, there's a fish, there's a condor, there's a heroine, not Columbia heroin, heron,
The
heron.
You
Not
have you stick in your veins? No, I'm just kidding.
no, no, not that.
Uh,
Heron, like the
like
bird.
like the bird. Okay.
Maybe it's not heroin. Maybe I just read that as heroin. It's
There is a
heron.
which is the female version of hero, but hey, you know what? The drug did come to my mind first. So
Yep. There's also a monkey, a lizard, a dog, a cat, and a human. There are other shapes though that include trees and flowers. So it's a whole bunch of animals, some trees and flowers, some spirals and some shapes and some lines. It's just all these things, and we don't know what it is. We don't know why. So the reason, because we want to figure out why. The whole point of this episode is we're talking about the Nazca lines. We're trying to figure out what the Nazca lines are, why they did this, and it's like I said, this thing covers, you know, thousands of like hundreds of thousands of acres. So I actually have written down a couple of the most famous ones, and I'm actually going to tell you how big these things are. So it kind of gets in your head to realize this was, like you said, this was before Jesus Christ. These people were not having a backhoe out there, digging in the dirt. They were using primitive tools to draw these things, right? So the condor, it's about 130 meters or 450 feet long. Could you imagine drawing that in the desert sand?
yeah, they had to be working at night or something because no way in the heat of the day are you going out there and attempting to do that. That's wild to me.
The monkey is about 190 or 305 to about 190 feet, or 93 to 58 meters for European listeners. The hummingbird measures about 305 feet long or 93 meters. The spider is apparently 154 feet long or 47 meters. The dog, as I mentioned earlier, it's about 170 feet or 50 meters long. Now, here's the thing, right? These sound big, like a 50-foot dog, 154-foot spider. You know, that doesn't compare to the biggest drawing they have.
How big is the biggest one? Because I mean, yeah, exactly what you just said. I was like, yeah, 154-foot spider. That's
That's a
huge,
big spider.
right?
So the biggest one is the pelican. Do you want to take a guess how big the pelican is?
1,000 feet. Let's just
Close. 935 feet
wow. That is a massive pelican.
or 280 meters or 285 meters. So there's these massive drawings, but on top of that, there's also a lot of those lines I was telling you about. A lot of these lines are just continuous and they just go on for miles. So it's crazy to think like these people were using primitive tools, drawing massive pelicans, dogs, spiders, all these things in the desert sand. And you're like, today it's like I don't have the attention span to do that. To go out in the desert with like a stick and a shovel and just create lines. So obviously, by the size of these things, what adds to the mystery is the fact that in order to see some of these, you actually have to get in an airplane and fly about 1,600 feet above the drawings to clearly see them.
See, and what's crazy to me about that is when the people are constructing this, they weren't able to fly, and yet they were still pretty accurately able to create these things despite not ever even being able to really look at them. Am I off on that, or is there?
You're okay. There were some like foothills and mountains around the area, so some of these they could see from the mountains. But still, you got to think about it. Like if you got a guy up on the mountain looking down to tell you, oh, you're crooked, you don't have like a telephone or a walkie-talkie, And I don't know how well shouting down to the guy would be, like, oh, you're crooked. I got to hook it to the left. No, you're
But
crooked.
but the drawings are still fairly accurate. Is that
Yeah.
wow?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
text you a picture of them because like when you look it up, it's really crazy how cool these things are. Um,
that's when that guy on the History Channel comes up and he looks very serious and he's like, "It's got to be aliens." You know what I'm talking about?
you know
That
what? You're not wrong.
called
Um,
ancient aliens.
yep, you're not
That,
wrong there because one of the theories might be aliens. We can't have an episode on a mystery and not have aliens involved.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean the question is why build these massive drawings in the sand? What is the point behind it? You know, why? Right? So I've got a bunch of different theories. I think I got about 5 theories here. And then we'll kind of go through each one. I'll tell you the reason why these theories are the way they are. And then we'll kind of go from there and kind of talk about it.
Sounds good, man.
So the largest theory, the most ran by theory that a lot of people think makes the most sense, is that they're actually a celestial calendar. So some researchers believe that the Nazca lines kind of function like a giant observatory. Certain straight lines align with the solstices and equinoxes, possibly used to track planting and harvest cycles. The idea is that the lines were essentially a massive farming calendar inscribed into the desert floor. So that would kind of explain the lines. But the theory goes deeper by saying that the drawings, like the spider, the pelican, these things actually are part of a star map. Because people say that the spider and the monkey and the hummingbird, those animals, could represent constellations. Like the spider might represent Orion's belt or Orion, the constellation Orion, while the monkey's spiral tail could be a reflection of the Milky Way.
That okay, yeah. I was gonna say, like, how do animals even relate to the calendar things? Although now that you're explaining it, I'm like, okay, hey, maybe.
Well, and the thing too, you got to think about too, like when we're talking about this, is the Greeks came up with the constellations. Orion. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head besides the Big Dipper.
I was gonna say Orion's belt, the Big Dipper. I really don't know anyone other.
What are some other constellations?
But yeah, I mean, I guess for whatever reason they just needed this big old calendar.
Yeah, because there's like Scorpius, there's Cetus, there's Gemini, there's the Pisces. Like a lot of the constellations.
Now these are sounding like the astrology signs that all the ladies are into these days.
Oh my gosh! Like, what's your sign?
I know, right?
They don't like us because we're Scorpios. Apparently, I think we got a bad rap.
I thought October is Libra, isn't it?
No, we're Scorpios.
I'll look that one up. I'm pretty sure you're wrong, but
no, Scorpio. Here it is. The Scorpio is the 8th astrological in Western astrology. It typically spans from. Okay, my bad. I'm a Scorpio. You're not.
Oh, that's right, because it doesn't follow the months exactly.
Yeah, mine is from October 23rd to November 21st. Yours is a Libra. You're a Libra. I'm a Scorpio.
Okay. In the event that there was any astrology guys or gals that were watching this, all right, there you guys know.
Well, there you go. If you watch this podcast and you go on a date with Steven, now you can just skip that question.
There you go.
Now you know he's a Libra and I'm a Scorpio. Probably explains a lot.
Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
I don't know.
I'll roll with it. So,
anyways, so I mean, like, yeah, I mean that kind of makes a lot of sense. Like, a giant calendar.
Yeah, I'll say this one last thing before you get to the next theory. But when you said that there's this Batman villain named Calendar Man, I just thought about him. I'm like, man, what if it's just Calendar Man and he finds this and he's like, calendars? Well, anyway, all right, let's get to the next one.
All right, so next up. So another idea is that it's a religious or ritualistic theories on water and fertility rites. So since the Nazca culture lived in one of the driest regions on Earth, water was life, right? So scholars argue the lines could be ritual pathways used in ceremonies to summon rain. Trapezoids and spirals could have symbolized underground water sources or been offerings to the god. So apparently the straight lines might have actually been ceremonial walkways. Participants would follow them in processions, perhaps leading to shrines or sacred sites. The giant figures may have been messages or offerings to deities watching them above. So again, like another pretty normal sounding theory, we're drawing these offerings up to the gods. We're praying for rain because we live in the desert. I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of like, what it reminds me of? Have you ever done like a rain turtle?
A rain turtle? No, I haven't.
Have you ever heard of a rain turtle?
No.
So I don't know why it works, but people swear by it. Apparently, when you need rain, if you draw a turtle in the dirt, it'll start raining.
Oh, really?
So that's why it kind of makes me like when I saw this theory, I was kind of like, rain turtle, you know?
Did you have you drawn one of those ever?
No,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, I'm not. Right now, I don't need to because we're hoping to get this hay in. But
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. So,
all right.
what was I about to say?
So what is your thoughts, kind of, I guess, on it being
I
ritualistic?
honestly might lean more towards that one. When you said water is life, I was like, yeah, that's kind of been true of basically every civilization ever. And it's just like, if there's a superstition of that, hey, drawing certain animals or drawing certain figures would attract rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
And water's life. You want more water. There you go. Draw this pictures of herons or monkeys or humans or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or rain turtles.
So yeah. So I kind of like those first two theories. Those first two theories I think make the most sense. That they could be some sort of astronomical calendar, or they could be some sort of rain turtle drawing in the ground, hoping to get the gods to give them some water. But we're gonna kind of go. Here's our train. We're gonna go off the rails for a second, and talk about it possibly being a runway for alien ships.
There it is. Ancient aliens.
You know,
The reptilians are descending from the sky to take over our government. Nah,
they already did that.
I know. What maybe we'll have to do another aliens episode, but I know there's like the gray skins, the reptilians, and then like what are the other kinds?
There's the grays. There's the grays. I think it's just the grays. The reptiles, though. Okay, the reptiles are not aliens. The reptiles live underneath the earth and have come out and taken over our government. That's the thought.
Okay.
This is not the first time we're going to talk about aliens landing on Earth, though, because believe me, we're going to have a theory on why the pyramids are there.
Oh boy. Well, hey, let's go ahead and get into this runway for aliens because the first two are pretty normal, and me being the skeptic of the two of us, I'm just like, yeah, those sound right to me. This is where we go off the rails. This is where I'm like, okay, let's hear it.
All right, so it's just going to get really crazy. So the runway theory was proposed by Eric von Daniken. He wrote a book called Chariots of the Gods, and that book basically um, that book basically takes the hypothesis that the technologies and religions of many ancient civilizations were given to them by ancient astronauts who we welcomed as gods. So Zeus was an alien. Osiris, alien.
Thor,
Alien.
which I mean, I guess even in the Marvel movies, Thor technically would qualify as an alien still. So
Yeah.
even though he's a bit human looking, but
So like the Egyptian gods, aliens. That's why they have the pyramids. So the same thing goes here. He proposed that the lines were landing strip for alien spacecraft. That due to the sheer size of the trapezoids and the runways, they were visible only from the sky. That fueled his theory, saying because you can only see these things from the sky, that's so the aliens know where to land. Kind of like a gigantic runway for an airplane with the blinking lights. Oh, we got to land on the spider.
there you go, man. So
Alien spacecraft number 1, please report to the spider. You are clear for landing.
please report to the spider. I
You
love it.
are clear for landing. So that was his theory. That was a landing strip. However, others speculate that the Nazca created the lines, created the geoglyphs as massive messages to beings in the heavens, whether gods or extraterrestrials. The idea is that the animal shapes were signals that could only be understood from above. So,
Well,
kind of a little bit playing a bit into like the previous theory, except for this is saying we weren't sending messages to the gods, we were sending messages to aliens.
I'll ask this though: are these things visible from space? Kind of
Wait, what?
like could you see these things from space? These
Yeah,
drawings.
probably. I literally could look at them on Google Maps.
Oh, and you'll see the drawings.
Like, if you, I mean, you have to zoom in a bit, but like you definitely can see them.
Ah, okay. All right. Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. So here's some other more practical and scientific theories. Um, I just realized I wrote these wrong. Oops. Because it's like one is astronomical theories, that was celestial calendar star maps. Two is religious and ritualistic, which is like the water and fertility rites, and then the pilgrimage. That was extraterrestrial theories. Now we got practical and scientific theories.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we got irrigation mapping. Some archaeologists believe the lines marks underground aquifers. The spirals and trapezoid shapes could map water veins or serve as ceremonial reminders of where life-giving water lay beneath the desert.
Okay. Fascinating stuff there.
Yeah.
I the Aztecs and the Incas, and I know we're not talking about those two people groups, but they were actually very, very advanced.
Oh yeah.
And so the thought that these two groups could also be advanced is pretty appealing. I'm like, yeah, I mean, hey, Aztecs and Incas are doing some cool stuff. So who's to say that irrigation mapping wasn't a thing for them? It
Yeah.
very could have been. I mean, they made these giant drawings. Who's to say there wasn't a practical purpose of that to water their plants? You know?
Yeah. I'm trying to see. There was one where it was like I can't remember if it was the Aztecs or the Inca. It might have been the Mayans. There was like one of those where they just completely like they were so advanced, and then we don't know what happened to them. They just fell off the face of the earth. But I mean, no, there's no
Was
telling.
it was it the Mayans or was it another group?
I can't remember. It was either Aztecs, Mayans, or Incans.
Man, they went the way of Atlantis, didn't they?
They just like they were like thriving as a civilization, and there's a decline, and they just dropped off.
Man.
Another idea is that this was actual social cohesion. Basically, the lines required cooperation across large groups. So the idea is that the creation was less about the symbols and more about unifying the community and shared labor, reinforcing cultural identity and devotion. Basically, we're a bunch of hippies. We're going to get together. We're going to have fun. We're going to draw lines in the freaking sand. Because it's the neighborly thing to do.
I just imagine a bunch of what was the people group again that made these things?
The Nazcas.
The Nazcas. I just imagine a bunch of Nazca people just coked out on whatever kind of mushroom drugs and just drawing these things and somehow making them still pretty good despite being just completely zapped out of their minds. Can you imagine they just got a joint, they're just smoking, you're like, yeah, bro, I'm just drawing this giant monkey here. It's like, why are you drawing a monkey? It's because I can't.
don't know. The spirits, man. The spirits, like,
Spirits,
they
man.
like,
Yeah, the
they
spirit.
talked to me, and they told me, like draw a spider, and I was like, why? And then like, just do it, man. I was like, all right.
I don't know if I believe that theory per se, but man, I that's definitely the funniest one out of all of them.
I think that theory, like, well, obviously, like, it's like, oh, everybody got together, and we're just gonna do this together for fun. But then, like, adding in the idea of like doing shrooms while doing it, it kind of also plays into other theories.
Yeah.
We're doing this because the aliens told us to, man. They're like gonna bring their spaceships down here, and like we're gonna go tour the galaxy, man. They're gonna take us to the future where we can get something called Papa John's.
What's the stuff people usually eat after smoking weed? Because I know they're pretty hungry, right?
Oh, it's whatever they want, man. It's the munchies.
Just some munchies. Okay, so you just eat anything like okay, pizza, brownies.
You want pizza? You want no? You don't want to. Well, you could do brownies, but you gotta be careful because they might be more weed in them.
I see. And then you'll end up even worse off than you were before. So.
Yeah. Anyways, going back to the last two theories. The category for this one is mystical and esoteric theories. So some actually believe that there's a bunch of New Age theories that suggest the Nazca lines, they sit on, guess what? Ley lines.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Like ley lines.
I was like, these lines remind me of another thing we've done an episode on. So
the idea is that the geoglyphs may have been intended to channel Earth's power, serving as spiritual amplifiers.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we did an episode on ley lines, so make sure you go
Did we
through.
do an episode on ley lines? I don't think we've done a full episode yet.
Have we not done an episode on it? We definitely talked
Yeah.
about it a
We
lot.
talked about them because they were on the Ram Inn, ancient Ram Inn.
Oh,
For those who don't know, ley lines basically are these lines that run all across the earth where they intersect. People believe that's where the most power is at, and that's like a portal to the other side kind of stuff.
come to think of it, I don't think we've done an episode specifically on ley lines, but you're right. We did talk about them pretty extensively during the Rams Inn episode. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Yeah, again, if you want to go back through our catalog, go back and watch the Rams Inn episode, and we talk about some interesting lines over there as well. So,
Yeah. And the last one, because we kind of already talked about this, Vision Quest.
Vision Quest. What? Oh,
So anthropologists propose that shamans, under the influence of hallucinogens, envision the shapes from above during trance states, and that the ideas of the lines could then be maps of the spirit world brought into reality on the desert floor.
there you go, man. A bunch of ancient shaman priests just lighten it up, lighten it
Man, I saw it from above.
fire or whatnot.
All I can think about it. All I can think about when we're doing that is the oh gosh, it was in Young Guns. In Young Guns, they were trying to figure out, because obviously great movie, go watch it. It's from the 90s. But like the cool thing about Young Guns is like, so the idea was there was this group of kids that got together, became the regulators, and they were to take down the corrupt people. So they kind of lost their way. And so one of the guys was a Native American, and he goes, so we need to like harness back ourselves, and we need to focus and figure out what we got to do. So they all took peyote.
Oh, there we go.
So the Native American dude, he's totally fine doing peyote. Like, he's done this before. He's able to calm himself and use it to focus and harness his powers. The rest of the guys are freaking cracked out of their mind. Like, one of them's like, did you guys see that big chicken? And then, like, after a while, he ended up taking them to his village, where he grew up. And one of the guys was like, do you think they can see us, man? And he's like, nah, man, they can't. We're in the spirit world, asshole. So all I can think about is just that scene, and
There you go.
dudes sitting around smoking peyote and just being like, I saw a spider, man. You gotta draw the spider, you know? Like, gotta be this big, man. So what do you think? What do you think could be behind the Nazca lines?
My favorite theory in terms of funniness is definitely just people smoking it up. But I think the realistic explanation, I think it probably has to do with some kind of religious, practice. I think they looked at the sky and they said, "Hey, there's these gods. They control the weather, they control the land and the water. And if we want to appeal to these gods, if you want to kind of draw out something from out of them, let's draw these big pictures. I don't know. Maybe they'll think it's funny and they'll show us some mercy." So that's my thought. Aliens, fun theory, but I mean, outside I'm always one that says extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and
Right.
other than some guy thinking it might be aliens, I haven't really seen anything concrete to say it is aliens. So I know I'm the boring guy, I'm the reasonable and logical one, but that's my take. So
I definitely think I agree with you. I think it's either something religious. I could see it being the astronomical calendars, possibly tying into the constellations, just because, like we said, like Orion and those kind of names came from the Greeks. So they didn't know that Orion was called Orion's belt. They probably just saw spider, you know. So I do think it's either religious. I do think it could be something of the calendar, but I do agree. I think the funniest theory, and I think it'd be really hilarious if it's true, just a bunch of people getting cracked out of their mind on peyote or something, drawing lines in the desert.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure.
So that's all I got. You got anything else?
That's it, man. Yeah, the Nazca line. So yeah, if you're in the Peru area, yeah, make sure you make a stop over there and check that out. So
Yeah, and make sure you pass that peace pipe, brother.